Good morning, everyone. This is Nambita LIASA PRO. As well, I'm with my secretary. We are here with Mr. Lashan today. We're going to interview him. We are having a roundtable session with LIASA where we ask certain questions. We want to know better Mr. Lashan as he's got a long service with LIASA. By doing this roundtable session, we want to motivate those who don't see or do not recognize LIASA. Over to you, Ms. Suki. You can ask or add.
Thank you, Ms. Nambita, and welcome, Mr. Lashan. We are happy to have you in this round table, which is the first in the LIASA Free State branch. We do want to think first in the entire LIASA community, but that needs to be proved. We would like to know, who is Lashan in terms of your lease experience? Thank you.
A very good morning to you, Nambita and Zuki. Thank you for this opportunity. I've been in libraries from 1991. I started my library career in 1991 as a half-day library assistant in KZN in the Durban Municipal Libraries. I started there in a community library as a half-day library assistant. Then I moved to the Pinetown Public Library as a senior library assistant, and then I moved up to senior librarian. And then, so my career in public libraries has been a long span of time. I've been in public libraries for almost 17 years. And then my next career move was to academic libraries, where I worked at the Durban University of Technology as the after-hours librarian. From the Durban University of Technology, I moved to UNISA in Pretoria as collection developer for government publications. And thereafter, I moved to Rhodes University as the head of user and research support services. And finally here, now I'm currently the Deputy Director of Teaching and Learning at the University of the Free State. My association with LIASA has been a long time as well. And prior to LIASA being formed, there was a library organization called LIWO, which was Library and Information Workers Organization. And remember, this was in the apartheid times. So that was one of the organizations that was catering for non-white library workers. So that was my start of working with a library association. So I have both the academic library background and public library background, which has given me a very good insight into the sector at large. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lashan. That's quite an extensive experience. You are two-legged. I'm sure now you must go for special libraries or school libraries so that you are a three-legged pot. You have just mentioned your involvement with the organization. That we want to follow it up. Do you still remember then, when did you transit from LIBO, then you become a LIASA member, and why did you choose to be a LIASA member?
I think as the country was emerging into a democracy, and there were many changes in the country, many changes in how libraries function. I think that was the turning point for the country, and I think LIASA was formed at that point in time, and I was fortunate at that point in time to be part of the KZN at the branch at that point in time, and I was the membership secretary at that point in time, and that has empowered me in many ways in meeting librarians from the various entities, networking, and that's how I've become very au fait with the sector at large. I think this has been a turning point. I think being in LIASA has opened up many avenues where I could explore to understand what the LIS sector is all about. Coming from the public library background, I think that gives you just one part of the sector. I think yes, given the circumstances of what at the time, as the country was turning into a democracy, it gave us all an opportunity to look at libraries in a holistic term, and I think that's when you realized what the importance of libraries in this democracy, in this changing times. I think the libraries played an important role in the bringing in of democracy. I think the information that we provided at that time, the displays that we did at that time, I think it was an important milestone in the country and an important milestone for libraries. I mean, libraries for all. I remember there was a slogan that there was libraries for all at one point in time. And I think that stands out it stands out in my memory, because at that point in time, libraries were built all over in underdeveloped areas, and people who did not have access to libraries now had access to libraries. So that was a turning point in the library profession and in my life as well.
Okay, do you know your membership number?
My membership number is 1622.
Oh, okay. We also would like to know, before I hand over my mic to my colleague here, my PRO, the way you speak about libraries, you speak about LIASA, want me to assume that there is a value that LIASA has added in your life. If you have not yet mentioned, or you want to add up on the value that LIASA has added in your professional development, we would like to hear that.
I think yes, my involvement in LIASA goes a long way back. Being the membership secretary of the branch also gave me the courage and built up my self-esteem in terms of public speaking, in terms of just understanding the different sectors of libraries, and I think that has expanded my horizon, has given me the exposure in terms of conference attendance. It has built up my network of librarians and information workers, and I think that has really impacted on my life. Further to this, I think my involvement with LIASA has been one that has been very empowering, and that I was on the Exco from 2016 to 2018, and that was a very fulfilling part of my life as the National Secretary of LIASA from 2016 to 2018. I think that has empowered me in many ways, and in many instances, I think, building your self-esteem. I think LIASA has built up my self-esteem in many ways. I think in public speaking, in just being out there in terms of advocacy and all those kind of things, I think it has changed me as a person, has put me out there, and I think my career advancement, I owe it to LIASA. I think from transitioning from a half-day library assistant in a public library, community library, to now being the deputy director in an academic library, I think that's a huge transition. And I think I owe it to LIASA because of the people in LIASA that have empowered me and have been mentoring me over the years. I think that's an important thing. I think that's what I want to say, that, it's sometimes people always say, what has LIASA done for me? But I think it's a two-way street where it's learning from LIASA and also giving back to LIASA as well. I think that is my role going forward. It is empowering other younger librarians. And the thing is, you do not you cannot move to the top immediately. It's the process, and this is the process where organizations like LIASA would assist in empowering you and mentoring you through this process. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lashran. I am not the only person in this roundtable. Let's also give Nambita a chance to engage with you on the behalf of our members. Over to you, Ms. Nambita.
Mouthful. I feel like not asking because you already mentioned some of the highlights of your career with LIASA. So is there any specific you really want to add on the highlights of your career in LIASA?
I think being in LIASA, I've led many teams like SA Library Week. I think being part of these subcommittees, I think I've led many of these things in terms of conferences. It gave me the courage to host the IUG conference when I was at Rhodes University, part of the SEALS consortium. I think these are some of the things, I think sometimes you don't realize the impact that these organizational work has on you, just your general planning and leading in many of your work engagements and your extracurricular activities. I think this is an important thing, with that empowerment, where you learn from each other on how to lead other projects within your organization. So I think in terms of highlights, it has, in terms of highlights, as you can see, I've moved provinces in terms of my job, in terms of my career path. I was in KZN first, then I moved to Pretoria, then I moved to Makanda, and now I'm in the Free State. So I think that itself, it is a highlight, because the thing is, I am able, my interaction with LIASA members, my interaction with LIASA itself, and all the professional librarians within the sphere, I was confident. I was confident enough to move provinces, even knowing that I have the support of my colleagues in LIASA and all the other institutions. Thank you.
Wow, that's great. That's great to hear that LIASA, you also have extended family that has got your back.
Yes.
How will you persuade someone who isn't a LIASA member, but you want that person to join LIASA?
I think it's something that is also it's the onus is on library information workers. I think that's an important thing, where it has to come from you. But I'm saying also watching, I think people like myself and other members of LIASA should be exemplars to younger librarians. I think as this initiative has been done now, if I look at my career, looking back as a library assistant, from where I've come as a library assistant, I think this is evidence enough. And I think as LIASA members, we need to show other librarians or emerging librarians that this journey is not just overnight. It's the process, and your involvement within an organization that has value for you, and you have value for the organization. I think that's an important thing, where I have benefited from LIASA, so it's time to give back and see how I could assist other librarians. And as I said before, it's not what LIASA can do for you, but what can you do for LIASA. All of us come with strengths that we could bring to the organization. So I think that is something that I would urge young librarians to come forth as we move into the fourth industrial revolution. I think younger librarians have much more to offer than what we have. And I think with the trends in the world over, in terms of library trends, I think young aspiring librarians come with so much of technological knowledge and innovation. So I think that is something we can take forward in reimagining, rediscovering, and re-envisioning how we do things.
Lastly, but not least, if you were given an opportunity to prophesize the future of LIASA, how do you see LIASA evolving in the future?
I think as LIASA is going through a restructuring process, I think, as I mentioned earlier, the emergence of technologies, the emergence of the fourth industrial revolution, and all those kind of things, I think librarians have a whole new. I think librarians would have a whole new future ahead of us, because we can reimagine, re-envision, and rediscover how we're going to take libraries to. I think in this new environment, there's many new technologies, emerging technologies, and I think libraries have changed we have changed the face of how we operate. I think the COVID pandemic has given rise to a whole new world of libraries. I think we had to rethink how we do things. So I think in this way, we are a resilient bunch of librarians who have repurposed how we did things over the pandemic, and we can always, and the repurposing and re-envisioning can go on as we progress.
That was it, Ms. Suki. Do you have any question to add on or follow up? If there's not any, I'll just give a second to Ms. Suki before we wrap up.
On a lighter note, thank you, Nambita. On a lighter note, Mr. Lashan, the profession is known or is majority-led by, not led, majority females. How is it to be a male librarian? Does it have anything, or you don't see any difference? How is it?
Thanks, Zuki. I think when I started as a librarian in the 90s, it was very female dominated, which was a bit intimidating. But thereafter, as I see in recent years, it has a mixture of male and females. I think as we move, as I said, into a new era, new skills. So there has been a mixture of people, and I think as we've seen in libraries, the information technology area has become prominent, and I think so that has taken the forefront of libraries. And I think therefore we have all these wonderful technologies, wonderful services, online services, and that kind of thing, which has really changed the face of libraries. So as much as it was very female dominated in the years gone by, it has changed now, but I never had a problem with that.
Oh, okay. Thank you, Mr. Lashan. Now that I have no other interaction with our guest, we can wrap up and we may enjoy our cup of tea.
Thank you, Nambita and Zuki. It was a pleasure being here.
Okay, thank you to our members who watched the space for our next guest in the month of April. Thank you. Enjoy the day.
Thank you, everyone. That on that note, keep on tracking us for more. Thank you.